Welcome to the Album Anniversary Podcast. Today's show is about Way Before the Flood by Black Eyed Sceva. It was released sometime in 1995 and is celebrating a 30-year anniversary.
My halo's broken, falling down, all around my toes. And I feel the only way for me to get it back above my head is dig a hole. Throw myself in, cover me up, tell every fair weather friend I can't think of. It's gonna be great. So go away since being justified. It's just as if I'd never seen it all.
I'm your host, Caleb, or Caleb the Spy on social media, and every day on social media I post about what I call album anniversaries. So, on the Album Anniversary Podcast, we take a look at a classic album, an album we love, or an album that's important to us on the anniversary of its release date. Albums on the show often focus on alternative rock, punk, and my strange obsession with ska in the 90s. I was super into the Christian music scene. That comes up often on the show. And today I'm joined by frequent guest Scott. Scott, welcome back to the show.
Caleb, in true 1995 fashion, I greet you with, "What's up?"
That was not what I was expecting.
Terrible.
At all. Was that 1995?
I don't know. It was close
Oh,
enough.
there's got to be a way to look this up.
Okay, now
All
we're
right.
going down a rabbit hole already.
Sorry if there's
Frog,
clicking in the back.
Budweiser, commercial. 95. It says.
Really?
Yes, it was released during the Super Bowl in 1995. Boom.
Well done. Well
You're
done.
welcome.
Way
I
to
did
be
my research.
Culturally relevant. Well, I hate to say this. I say a frequent returning guest. I think you have fallen behind Brock. He has
All right.
overtaken you. He was on 2 weeks in a row. He did his own show, in July that he covered Illinois for me.
right.
So I think you have fallen behind. Just a heads
I
up.
was friends with Brock, and now we are enemies.
Mute Math Corner is broken.
It's over. It's strong bad. A strong bad would say it's over.
It's over. Yeah.
So sorry, Brock. I'm coming for you.
Yeah, sorry. I nothing I can do. I don't make the schedule. I just do the shows. I guess I do make the schedule. So we're talking about Black Eyed Sceva and Way Before the Flood. I think I mentioned that at the beginning of the show. I don't think I might have to go back and do that actually, because I said Way Before the Flood. And I didn't say who it was by. Good job, me. So I'll go back and add that after the fact. That's fun.
Yes, we are in fine form.
Yeah, I'm
This is gonna
off
be
and
good.
flying. So I got to see them once, and it was before Model Engine. It was when they were named Black Eyed Sceva.
Yes.
Were you at that show?
Yes, because I believe Jeremy Post almost hit me in the head with his bass guitar.
He was not his bass guitar. He played electric. Yeah.
Sorry, my bad. Sorry, Jeremy. I'm an idiot. But I was almost hit in the head by a guitar. I was on the left side of the stage, or I suppose stage right if you're on the stage. And whoever was on that side, I got too close.
Yeah. Okay. I
We
think
were at
that
that
was where
show.
Jeremy stood. Because I've seen them. There's actually some live footage out there on YouTube that you can go and check out. But I think he stood on stage right when they performed. So, and I think that is the only time I saw them as well. I think it's a special night because I think it's the night I first heard Five Iron Frenzy.
Yes,
So
because they played the demo in the New Union.
Yeah, the Take Time to Listen demo. And I was like, well, what's that? So, yes, a special night. Sometime in, I want to say 96 is when we saw them. So
That sounds right. I'm very confident it was you and I at that show. And I don't know who they were with.
Drive,
And-
I think it was Drive opened up for them.
But why? So it was 96. So this album would have been out. So we would have heard it already. And we were like,
Yep.
we got to go see them.
And I think even the EP was out by then. 'Cause
Sure.
The EP comes out in 96. I think
Yeah.
the 5,000 Miles Davis
Yep.
or whatever the title is.
50,000.
50,000.
Yeah.
I'm good with numbers and last names. Awesome. Well, okay. I just wanted to touch base on that. If when you had seen them live, because I know I feel really confident it's one time. Sadly, that I got
Yes,
to see that.
sadly. Very, very sadly. Also, for me, that is the only time.
Okay. Before we dive in, I usually say, let's dive in. I will say, I'm going to make the caveat early. This is a bummer. We're going to talk about an album that is hard to listen to. It is only available if you have the CD, tape. There is cassettes out there that you can buy for it. Or if you go to YouTube. It is not available on streaming. So that is a bummer. And I will say it, if anybody from the band or 5 Minute Walk somehow listens to this, man alive, if we can help get it on streaming, I think people are clamoring for it to be on streaming. I'm thankful I still have my CD. I still have, I listen to my copy of it. So that's how I was able to do it. But it's hard to not be able to promote an album this good. I'm playing my hand a little that I like this album. So I will say that is a bummer. And I have started to think, like, is there a reason it's not on streaming? Because they just got the Model Engine album up there on streaming. Is it possible that nobody even knows where the masters are for this, or like actually getting the audio files is gotten that difficult, which I think is going to start to happen to some of these old Christian albums, that they're just going to be lost to internet decay and storage decay.
And there's probably a lot of music that happens too.
Yeah.
Particularly of that time frame. To be clear, when you say it's hard to listen to, you mean it's hard to access.
Yes.
It's a great listen, but and when you are able to listen to it, but the only way to find it is if you have your old CD. And frankly, I think, Caleb, I lost my original CD, and you helped me find a second copy of one.
Really?
Down the road, yeah. And I don't have very many specifics on that, but I remember losing it and being like, oh man, I can't listen to this anymore. Obviously before YouTube. But you helped me get it in one way or the other, and I was very excited because, again, playing our hand pretty early, we both very much appreciate and enjoy this album, and so to not be able to have access to it was difficult back then, and that hasn't changed.
Yeah, I'm actually interested now. I know at one point it was selling for like $80 on Amazon. I want to check the Discogs price. Give me 1 second.
If they press the vinyl of it.
Oh, yeah. Gosh. All three of their albums, I would, if they did like some sort of bundle, like, here's all three of them, here's a little box set. Oh my gosh. This is going to be really bad radio, everybody.
Yay. It's okay. No one listens. I don't listen to the show.
Even when you're on, do you not listen?
No, I'm like, that guy sucks.
You know what? It's only $18 on eBay right now.
That's how much I paid for it in 1995.
There are, one person's trying to sell it for $72. One person is trying to sell this and Wish for Eden's Pet the Fish for $35 together. But no, you can get this fairly cheap on eBay, actually. So I bet you on Discogs it's similar. So It's not out of control. I do know some people are trying to do it, and you can get that EP for even cheaper. So this is buyable on. I just looked at eBay. I'm guessing Discogs is similar.
Yeah, YouTube obviously accessible, but a pain in the butt to listen to it that way. So anyone out there who might be able to get this up on streaming, there's far, far more than just two people who would really appreciate it. We're talking tens of thousands of people who would be like, yeah, they'd listen. I'd give it multiple listens as soon as I can.
So on a cue from God the Father, stepped out and walked on water. Is he busy up there? Is he busy up there? We're waiting. Is he busy up there? Is he busy up there? We're waiting. There are so many souls down here just waiting. We're waiting.
Like we said, we're talking about Way Before the Flood by Black Eyed Sceva, and again, released sometime in 1995. I did actually at one point ask Jeremy Post he's on Instagram, you can find him, like, hey, do you know a more precise release date? And the answer was no. So I have reached out through a contact to Frank Tate. I would love to get, because 5 Minute Walks have some of the worst, the ability of finding release dates. I wonder if Frank Tate has documentation of when he sent some of these things off. So me and somebody are trying to get that out of Frank Tate if we can get it. He was on the Pickle Home Companion, so Kevin has tried to reach out, but we're not hopeful. But it would be pretty awesome to get.
It'd be fun to know.
Yeah, some more information on some of those. So anyway, and like I just said, it was released on 5 Minute Walk, and it was their debut record for Black Eyed Sceva.
Can we talk about the name?
Oh,
Like,
sure, yeah.
What? What is this? Obviously, no other band has ever had the word Sceva in it. And so I love it. Like when you go to search for it, you're going to get Black Eyed Peas, of course. So you got to get through that, you know. And then, of course, when you search for it, even the internet doesn't know what you're talking about. And so I just remember the name being like, what in the world? And then it actually being like a biblical reference to a biblical story and being like, what are these guys up to? Where are they pulling this name out of?
Right.
Which will kind of allude to their approach to their lyrics, which we'll talk about, I'm sure. But yeah, always love the name. It's always going to be the most unique band name I know of.
Yeah, it definitely is one that stands out. And it is the reason, I think, because they had so many problems with it, that they changed to Model Engine for that third one. I think they switched drummers, I want to say, and then they were like, well, let's take this opportunity to just call it a new band. But it's...
Sure.
I'll always see it as one group. But
of course.
Yeah. All right, this was produced by Bruce Winter and Black Eyed Sceva. It was also recorded and mixed by Bruce Winter. And if you're not familiar with him, I'll be totally honest, he does not have a super intense list of producing credits. The biggest other one that jumps out to me is Toad the Wet Sprocket, which I think is fitting because I feel like that's the comparison they got a lot, was Toad the Wet Sprocket. So I don't know if that really like was the reason, but he produced not only this record, he also did produce the Model Engine record. But yeah, that's the only other real big name on there is Toad the Wet Sprocket.
Sure, that's fitting.
Yeah. The artwork on this was done by a person named Liz Jackson, and this is her only credit. So it's a cool little painting. I think it's the idea of it's the ark being built. I think that's what I've always seen it as, is Noah building the ark with the sun in the background. But I don't know who Liz Jackson is, but there you go. Shout out Liz Jackson. She did the art.
Of course, Noah would have been building the ark way before the flood.
Before the flood, yeah.
Way before.
Yeah. Let's go through who is in this band. So it is Brad McCarter, is how I want to say the last name. He did bass on this. Drums and percussion and effects was done by Brent Nims. And then we've alluded to guitar and lyrics were by Jeremy Post. He also was the lead singer. So that is the incarnation for the two Black Eyed Sceva records. And again, I believe they got a new drummer, although I could be missing that up. I know Jeremy was in both, and I want to say Brad was in both incarnations of this band.
They're like Spinal Tap. Every album, there's a new drummer. It just disappears.
I don't think that's true.
It would be cool if it was. No, because I just saw that preview for Spinal Tap 2, which is coming out, which made me think of that. But I am with you. I'm pretty certain that Jeremy and Brad were in it together from the beginning to the end.
Yeah, I agree. This is something I think straight out of the liner jacket. I don't know where I got this from. So it was recorded and mixed at Orange Whip Studios in Santa Barbara, California, which Santa Barbara is their home base and really was, I think, a bit of their identity. So it was recorded in the spring of 1995. The hidden track, which I'm sure we will talk about at some point, starts at 5:30 in the last song. So there's an old throwback to CDs and tapes when they used to have a little more space than the vinyl. So they started throwing on things like hidden tracks. Adrian James is misspelled on the back of the tape art. Track 2 is listed as WBF, and that's the way I have it in mind. But technically, I think the name of that track is Way Before the Flood.
Yeah.
But I think it's on WBF is the only way I've ever seen it. So, So this is going to be a little bit of monologuing by me. So Scott will, I promise he's still here. But I did reach out to Jeremy with just a couple questions that I thought were good. Again, this is not a band that you're going to be able to go out and get like a huge bunch of internet history. Although there are a couple blogs that are now not posting because, you can, how long can you keep on posting about a band that broke up in the late 90s? But there are some blogs that were out there where people were talking about Black Eyed Sceva, but there's not a ton of history. So I reached out to Jeremy and just asked him a couple questions that he helped fill in that I think are helpful context for this band because, again, we don't have a ton of other facts about it. So one of the things I asked him was like, how long had the band been together before this first album? And his response was Brent and him were in a 4-piece band for about a year. And then they met Brad. And then once Brad was on board, they started writing songs and playing together. So it was about 2 years before this came out. So again, that kind of gives you some context. They had been together for about 2 years, and Brent and Jeremy had been together for 3 years. I also asked how they got introduced to Frank Tate and 5 Minute Walk, and Mike Bridges from Something Sunday introduced them to Frank Tate. Jeremy was remembering that this was actually like the second band signed to 5 Minute Walk. And he makes a comment. Frank and him remain great friends to this day, so that's good to hear. I'm glad to hear that being on somebody's record label didn't destroy a friendship, because I bet you that is possible.
Happens more than you know.
Probably happens a lot, to be totally honest. So again, this is a Christian record, 5 Minute Walk. If you read the lyrics, we already made mention to Noah. So one of the things that is always interesting to me is, were the members of this band raised listening to Christian music? And the answer was a flat no, not at all. So I think that is really interesting that you had guys who were not raised necessarily listening to Christian music, but then ended up putting out this Christian album. So there you go, flat no. And then I kind of asked about like the idea of like influences and, kind of heading into this album. And I'm just going to read his response because I don't want to try and summarize it. So the Ventura and Santa Barbara area of California had a uniquely great music scene in the late 80s and early 90s. So when he was a teenager, he lived in a house where a lot of bands would come over and hang out. He learned a lot from those musicians. They had a huge influence on his songwriting. Brad and Brent both had a broader and more diverse musical background than Jeremy. So for Jeremy, it's a lot of those Santa Barbara and Ventura bands. But Brad and Brent had a little more wide a net. So again, you'll hear some things on this album. I think you'll hear some influences if you listen to it. But kind of wanted to throw that out there as well. So there you go. There's a little more context for the band going into our discussion. Any thoughts on any of that, Scott? Sorry, I just breezed through that.
No, it's fine. Talk over me as you wish. It's your show. But it's, as you're typing it up, I'm like, what other bands were from that area? Like, Southern California-ish sort of thing, because it sounds like a place where a lot of bands would come from. This band certainly did not influence Black Eyed Sceva, and they were not influenced by them. Big Bad Voodoo Daddy, also from Santa Barbara.
There you go.
That one is not on your list to review, so... But no, I think that sounds right. There are probably a ton of bands, a ton of rock happening out there that we just didn't have access to.
Yep. Yeah, exactly. So... Anyway, just again, some additional context by a band that might not be able to find as much on the internet for. So, all right. Well, I say we jump in and start talking about this album because we're already 20 minutes in, and I got lots to say.
And you know what happens when I come on the show, Caleb? Every song.
I know. I'm already aware of it happening.
We've already gotten comments. Not Scott again.
First question, 1995, how did teenage Scott discover this album?
Dude, there's either one of two ways. It was either some sort of like suggestion from internally from the label or something, or possibly this band would never have been on a poster. Or I think, Caleb, frankly, we probably just stumbled upon it. That's my best guess. So we were just like, ooh, this looks interesting. There's no other way. Like, I just don't know. I don't remember.
Yeah, I hate this answer, but I don't know. I'm really struggling. I hold on. I got one guess. Give me 1 second. One of my thoughts is the Take Time to Listen volumes. Did one of those stumble into us? And all of a sudden we started looking. So I'm wondering. So no, because Take Time to Listen Volume 2 already has that was released in 1996 because that already has 5 Iron on it. So I don't think I don't think I had Take Time to Listen Volume 1 until significantly later. And if you look, I think that one only has like 4 bands on it.
Sure.
So I honestly have no idea. The one thought I have was 7 Day Jesus our introduction to this band? Because 7 Day Jesus' first record is on 5 Minute Walk.
But that's after this.
I think that's in 1996 as well.
It's absolutely after this.
So I really don't know. I don't know how we got introduced to this, because it's not like we went backwards. It's not like we were introduced to Five Iron and then went back to this. They are our introduction to Five Iron. In fact, I know, I think it was probably a frustration of theirs. I could be wrong, but I remember an interview in Seven Ball Magazine where there was some comment that Jeremy made about they were trying to find the right horn section, because I think they were joking about maybe they need to transition to be a ska band because that's the only way to survive in the Christian music scene. I think that was what the comment was in some random Seven Ball magazine, but I don't know. Was it Seven Ball? I honestly, I hate this answer. I have no idea.
My memory's poor as it is anyway, but I honestly think maybe one of us took a shot at it, or there was some sort of communication within the albums or record labels that we were listening to that were like, hey, you should try this. Otherwise, how else would we have known? I mean, it's possible we walked into the bookstore and they had a demo of it and we listened to it, but yeah.
I don't know. The only other thing I can think of is, was it Seven Ball? Although Seven Ball starts in 1995. So I do think I got this late. I will say that. I think that's the other possibility, is I wonder if my introduction is I got the 500,000 or whatever, 50,000 miles and Miles Davis or whatever it is. I wonder if I got that first and then was like going back or something. I have no idea how we got introduced to this. This is a really bad segment because we just keep on saying, I don't know, and throwing out random ideas that are not right.
You know what? I don't have anything to add because I don't know either. So.
Yep. I remember pulling Sin by Poor Old Lou off the shelf. I remember pulling The Spark by Plank Eye. And so that's my only other thought is, did we go in and say, what else is like this? And somebody at the Christian bookstore said, oh, if you like Poor Old Lou and Plank Eye, maybe you'll like this. And they handed it to us. That's the only other thought I have.
Yep. That's the most likely.
Yeah. Big one potentially, although if we're going to talk about all the songs, that's the big one. But what is it that you love about this album?
What do I not love about this album?
Yeah, my first response was everything.
It's going to be the easiest way to answer. I think for us, we've talked about, wanting to kind of have our own thing. And I've talked a lot with you about Aaron Sprinkle and how he was kind of this musician that we found along the way, blah, blah, blah. This is even more a little underground, right? We've talked about how we can't find it now even. And they didn't do as many shows or tours as the other bands that we saw. At least we didn't have as much access to that. And they didn't last as long either, right? Yep. They only have, so many albums. And man, I don't think there was ever a time, even up until now, that I was like, you know what? I don't like this song or this tune. Like immediately from the get-go, I was like, this is my jam. Yep. This is so good. The lyrics are fantastic. The lyrics totally brought me in right away because it's like nothing we had ever had up until that point, to be sure. And I would contend is probably still stands as some of the best lyricism of Christian music, even up until today. And just every single song, and then the hidden track and everything. It was a whole package right away, and I don't ever remember not liking it.
Yep, I said it on when I was on Eric McClanahan's show, the Inner Everglow show, talking about favorite records, favorite bands, favorite albums, and I said Jeremy Post is the most underrated lyricist of all time, full stop. No caveat, no in Christian music, none of that. He is that. He is the most, in my opinion. They should have been bigger just on his lyrics alone. I think they're clever. They're not funny. Like that is the distinction, right? It's not Steve Taylor lyrics where it's kind of funny.
Goofy,
it's,
no,
it's not
no
Five
goofing
Iron where
around.
he's got those moments. This is serious.
Yeah.
But his wordplay, the way he is, especially he gets more introspective and open as he goes, I think, in some ways. Or, there's that part of this, but they're deep, they're rich, they're maybe a little dark at times. I just think his lyrics are absolutely a standout from this band and from this record. But yeah, I think Jeremy Post's lyrics just absolutely are amazing. And yeah, I think it was one of our first introductions to, wow, these are deep and interesting.
I would say too, just keep going on the lyrics thing because it's important for both of us. Like, dude, there's a ton of theology in this album.
Yeah.
And that was really formative for 15 and 16-year-old Caleb and Scott. Like the way that they were able to, or he was able to talk about some really interesting issues from not just a social aspect, because you have like Mudhouse, which might be a more social theological statement, but justified cleverness, and then you get this philosophical stuff too. It's been however many years, 25, 30 years. I still don't understand what Comte's perspective would be. I just thought they're making this cool philosophical statement about stuff. And at any rate, we just weren't getting much of that.
Right.
We might have lyrics that told stories or, described maybe situations that could be referring to someone that, you might be in love with, or it might be God. You could go one way or the other. But this was like a specifically theological statement on many songs, and that continued into their other albums.
Yeah, I mean, it starts right off the bat, like justified, just as if I'd never sinned at all. Like it literally is painting like, here is a theological term and an explanation of it, like just right out of the get-go. I mean, it is a, Happy Face throws in nihilism as a commentary. Like, I mean, it's just like, yeah, there is some depth to these lyrics that I just think Petra wasn't doing. And I don't have any problems with Petra, but this was different.
It wasn't easy theology, right? Like he's not trying to make a worship song, although I will contend that a couple of these songs should have been sung in church and played in church, but that wasn't kind of the purpose. He was just making songs about certain theological or philosophical points of view. And like you said, because he's such a talented lyricist, it really is woven together quite well.
Yeah.
And then if you get to a song, whether about like Mudhouse or Adrian James, where he is telling a story, it's really clear. I would say Mudhouse even a little too clear on the commentary side. But I know what Adrian James is about, and maybe it was Jeremy, maybe it's somebody else, but that dude's dad sucked,
Right.
And he made it very clear. So there wasn't any second guessing about what he was trying to say in some of those, social stories.
Yeah, no, I think it is, he does a lot here. He does the lyrics do a lot of heavy lifting for this because it is constantly interesting. And I think the other thing that is really amazing about the lyrics and the vocals is that they fit so well with the music. I think the mood and tone of everything just fits so well. Nothing feels out of place. There's no point where you're like, that lyric's too silly for this, or that lyric's too serious for this. It just matches the tone of the music so well, which I think is another compliment to what Jeremy put together here.
Absolutely, that's a good call. I like the lyrics and the music working well together. You have a note in here about them being another talented band. They could play guitar and they could play bass and drums all very well together. There's some parts of this album where I'm just like, give me all that rock, give me more of it. They didn't really hold back. But I always thought that this was kind of, they had some bluesy rock influence almost. not bluegrass per se, but just kind of like that echoey, sometimes Springsteen-ish guitar going on that I really like to this day.
I think they take a lot of influence from other three pieces. Like, they cover Invisible Sun. That's clearly clearly I think Sting and the Police are an influence. And I think that comes through. I think you get maybe a little bit of influence from like something like Cream, which is again another kind of famous rock trio, because this album feels really full. Like, I think another thing that probably is overlooked, probably was definitely overlooked by me at the time, was Brad's bass playing. I think it's Brad on bass. Hold on. Let me check my notes. Yeah. Brad on bass. I think he really like fills this thing out quite a bit. I think so. Like, I think that's the other thing is there's some bass lines on here that I think probably I did not appreciate as a teenager that have become like more important to me because I think they just make the whole band feel bigger. And so I don't know if Brad's influences is, are Sting and the Police, but man, it feels like, especially again, they straight covered them at one point. So
yeah, I agree that Brad's bass playing is doing a lot of work, not because it needs to, but just because he's really good at it.
Yeah.
And he's not necessarily carrying anything, but yeah, you go back and listen to it. When you all go back and listen to it, whether it's on YouTube or you buy it off for $18 somewhere, like really focus in on how each of the individuals is playing their instrument, and you'll start to see pretty quick how talented they are.
Yep. And the other thing that I noticed as like I was trying to listen a little more intently and not just listening because I love it, is I think it's also interesting how, and I know that this is like for talented musicians in the studio, it's just no big deal. But like I always see when I picture this band, I see Jeremy up there with his electric guitar, but there's a lot of acoustic moments on here as like kind of intros. And maybe that's just a undistorted guitar and that's what they're doing. He's hitting something on his pedal and it's just, sounds that it gets that acoustic tone, from his electric guitar. But I think it's a little bit of both. I think it's jumping back and forth. And so again, that also makes it feel bigger. We talked about it on when we were talking about Aaron Sprinkle, his album, where it's just him playing basically everything. But like when a one guitar player jumps between the two on a record, I think it makes it feel bigger and it makes it feel, it's. And again, I think in the studio, it's an easy trick. It's not that hard at all. You just record the one part, record the second part, smash them together. Sure. But I think it does add a dynamic element to this.
Sure. Totally agree. You have a note in here, though. It says almost prog rock at times. I'm very curious about this.
Yeah. So this is 11 songs, CD time. It's 58 minutes. It does not feel like an hour of music. But think about, like, I'm going to, again, and I'm sorry if there's clicking in the background, but you've got the first two songs, 3 minutes, 3 minute 20, 3 minute 30. But then you have a 5-minute song, 5 minute and 20 minute song, or 5 minute and 20 second song, a 6 minute song, a 5 minute song, and then you've got then 3 minute, and then you got a couple 4 minute songs, and then Nail Holes, which is tough because it's like 13 minutes, but it's like two,
right?
You've got Nail Holes, which is probably 5 minutes, and then you've got like it's almost 5 minutes, and then you've got that hidden track, which is another 8 or so. So there's a lot in there. There's a lot of jam band stuff in there where like guitar solo and like, I don't know, it's got that. It's not prog rock. It's not Fish by any means, but it borderlines on that where there's a little bit of jam band going on here where there's space for the guitar parts. There's space for the solos, which it has a little bit of that feel. And again, an hour is way too long for me. Punk rock kidding me, 10 songs, 30 minutes, get it done, people.
Yep.
This does not feel like an hour. In fact, when I just looked at it and I was like, it's an hour, I was shocked.
What? See, when you say prog rock, I think of other bands like Dream Theater or Liquid Tension Experiment, whose average song length is probably like 9 minutes.
Yeah, and it's not like, that, but it's starting to flirt with it. Like Adrian James is a 6-minute song that at one point goes entirely quiet, I think. I think that's the song.
Yes. Yeah.
And then goes back in and there's all this other stuff. And so like, I don't know, it's just it's borderline on that of like we're going to be a little bit of a jam band at times.
You heard it here first, folks. If you like fish, listen to Black Eyed Sceva. Per Caleb.
Now I hate my show. Deleted.
Ever delete all episodes.
Adrian, if I could meet you now, would you act anything like a father should? Would you find it hard to call me son? Adrian James, it's all 1/3 of the whole world's gone.
Obviously, this is something that's important to us. Why is this album an album that's important to you?
You know, when you're 15, you got a 15-year-old. I got a 14-year-old. We have teenagers, right? There's a lot going on, and a lot of formation happening. And as we've talked about on our other show about youth group, like especially in the 90s, they were trying to teach us some pretty heavy theological things, and not all of it was sticking, but a lot of it would stick through this music. And I think I had a ton of spiritual development through this album. Now, listening to it again, there's some things that come up and I'm like, I may not agree with that. You know, like Mudhouse is kind of heavy on the male perspective of sex before marriage, and you know, maybe we're missing some of the female experience with purity culture in that regard. But like, still, you know, they're trying to make a statement about something theological. But at the end of the day, I can't remember any other album influencing my young adult theology and beliefs as much as this one. And I would extend that to what's the first song on 50? Now I'm gonna click.
Ryan's Driveway.
Yeah, Ryan's Driveway, where there's lyrics about, you know, they're arguing in a van and he slams the dashboard because his friends are blaspheming. And like, there was something about that where they were communicating things of theological importance, but not writing worship songs. And so I really, really enjoyed that kind of the way that they were able to do that. They were able to combine the two. Other than that, like, dude, I crushed this album. And I to this day, like, when it comes up, I'm going to listen to the whole thing, even though it is an hour, which is a long time for some people. But it is something where when it comes on, I'm like, yes, every song I enjoy. And it felt that way immediately. It was instantly great for me. It did not have to grow on me whatsoever.
So I have some other thoughts that I think I'm going to save for question 5. So I'm going to go with some numbers.
Okay.
This is my 12th favorite album of all time.
Nice.
Their third album, well, technically their second album, because technically the second one's an EP. That one's a little higher for me. I think that comes in at 10.
Yep.
So 2 of their albums coming in my top 15. And this is a band that put out 2 albums and an EP. So, you know, that paints a picture.
Mm-hmm.
Favorite album. This is my favorite album of 1995. There's not anything even really close. I think the next closest thing is potentially Rancid's and Out Come the Wolves. So this is my favorite album of 1995. And I'll say it, they do not have, over the 2 albums and the EP, they don't have a bad song. I think that's something that's kind of remarkable. There's just not a bad song on here. Yes, I have some favorites, and I have like less to say about a couple of these, but there's not a bad song on this, on the EP, and especially on the Lean Years Tradition, which I think is even a step forward, even though this is amazing. And so I think that's part of it, is just, and I cannot tell you, there's nothing else in my record collection, which is fairly extensive. There's nothing else that sounds like this. And I think that's the other thing that makes it stand up so well. I don't have a comparison. I know Toad the Wet Sprocket got thrown out a lot. But if you tell me, like, what do they sound like? I'm going to say they sound like Black Eyed Sceva and Model Engine. And they're just that unique and that good. Nothing else sounds like this. And I can do that game with my favorite band. My favorite band sounds like a lot of other third wave ska bands. Nothing sounds like this, in my opinion.
So now we have two, because we were talking about that on the end of the Kind of Stays episode, where you made the comment that like nothing else sounds like Poor Lou.
Yeah.
And so this is tracking the same. I'll make the comment I made about Aaron Sprinkle, and we were in Christian circles through college, right?
Yeah.
I was in university, you were in Campus Crusade, and no one else owned this.
Yep.
Nobody.
Yep.
Everyone had their Cademans, fine. Give me this every single day, It just, no one else had this, and so it was like, hey, you guys should be listening to this. And I remember getting a couple of my friends into it, lending them the CD and that sort of thing. But it really felt like something we had on our own that was very, very good. And obviously for both of us, there are plenty of albums we listened to that were released in '95, and we're like, nope, no thanks. That was for a time period. This is not one of them. Quite the opposite.
Yep. Yeah, I'll put all the clever lyrics that people talk about and all the amazing lyrics. I'll put this up against any of them, and I'll put this sound up against anything. And I think it is unique, and maybe it's not for everyone, and maybe that's part of it, but this is as borderline perfect of an album. I don't give a lot of 5-star albums out. This is a 5-star album, and there's not even really a question for me. Yeah.
And I think we kind of knew that instantly. I'll tell a quick story. When I was in Mexico, you weren't on this trip because I was kind of an older student leader. John, our youth pastor, brought a little boombox CD player, and we could plug it in and play CDs. And he had brought the sampler that either this song or one of their other songs was on. And I was like so desperate. For some reason, I was having a bad trip. Like I just didn't want to be there that time. And I would like sneak away and play this CD and I would want to hear the Black Eyed Sceva song, because that made me think about home. It made me feel at home the most. And then I broke the CD. So accidentally. And then John was like, "Who broke it?" But it was. I mean, I think it instantly became a classic for us.
Yeah.
So we won't quit till we refine on the soul we find. We won't quit till we refine on the soul we find. You better look at hoods, look in the lights you're looking through. You better check out hoods, look in the lights you're looking through. Choice is the code.
All right, so when Scott's on the show, we usually go through all the tracks. We'll see how that all shakes out, but I think we had a little pre-meeting, and we definitely want to talk about the first three. So we're just going to start going through them. So the album kicks off, Justified. It kicks off with like his vocals and the guitar come in, and it's just great. I will say, sorry, the total little tangent. There might be longer clips in this show, because I had a hard time cutting the clips. So a couple of them, I usually am like 30-second clips of songs. A couple of them went a little longer because it was just too hard to cut them.
That's
So-
how people are going to be able to listen to the whole album, is they'll listen to the show and it'll be like one song between segments.
Maybe that's what I should have done. We should just, at the end of it, I'll just play the whole
The
album.
whole thing.
Why is this a 3-hour show?
Yeah.
So anyway,
Hidden track.
Justified.
A hidden track on your podcast.
Yeah, exactly.
So Justified, theological, like we talked about.
Yep.
Really reinforcing the teaching we were receiving in youth group. I really like his voice on this. I mean, intro track by a band, and intros them perfectly, and it really just like that kind of grittiness, grindiness that Jeremy has in his voice sometimes, which comes through at the right time when he uses it.
Yeah.
That's here right away, and it's like, man, I again instantly connected with me.
Yeah. I wonder if they said 2 years playing together before they went in and made this album, about 2 years. I don't know if you know the story of the Killers and Hot Fuss, but Mr. Brightside was the first song they wrote. And they had it right away. They had that riff, and then Brandon came in and wrote the lyrics. I wonder if Jeremy had been sitting on this, because the lyrical play is so clever that I kind of wonder if like this was the first song they wrote. I can be totally wrong, but I get the sense that it's so clever, so right off the bat. Like it just that let's put that right out there. That's always been one of my thoughts, is that this was the first song they ever wrote together, and you get it right off the bat, and they like put it front and center, because it's a song that even people who I think are not huge Black Eyed Sceva fans know that song because of the little way he plays the "Just As If I'd" breakdown.
I feel like that is something that would have been like a youth group poster in somebody's youth group somewhere.
Possible.
Or maybe it just came from this. I don't know. Or maybe that's where Jeremy saw it somewhere. But yeah, this is the first time we had kind of heard it put that way. I was like, yeah, okay, well, you just explained a very difficult theological concept in 4 syllables.
Yeah.
So, wow, way to go.
It was talked about at the Bethlehem Baptist youth group. I know that this is how they explain justification. Like they literally use that phrase, and I don't think they got it from Black Eyed Sceva. So I don't think Jeremy may have came up with it, but the way he works it into the song is just so great.
Agreed.
Yeah, and I also think you already get the full band right here. Like the bass playing is so clear. It's just such a part of the sound. So again, I just feel like you get this great. There's no way, I cannot think of a better way of any of their songs. And again, they don't have a bad song in my opinion. There's no better introduction to this band than this song.
Yeah, really kicks it in a high gear right out of the gate.
Let's talk about. I want to talk about the second song as well. So WBF, or Way Before the Flood, I believe is what it actually is supposed to be. So what are your thoughts on this song?
I don't have many thoughts lyrically, I suppose, except for the one you noted down, so I'll let you take that one. But I just remember being like, man, these guys, they changed it up just a little bit. It's a little bit... it's not as rough, maybe, or not rough's the wrong word, but, it's not maybe as aggressive, but I just remember it being super catchy right out of the gate. Like, immediately caught on to it, and, again, they're trying to, talk about theological story, talk about, Noah, whatever, or at least allude to him, but, man, I just, again, a really solid number 2 hitter, if you will, but
Sure.
I think it really did the title of the album quite well.
So if Ron Gardenhire was making the lineup, this is a weird Twins deep cut.
Especially today.
It'd have to be a middle infielder. It would have to be, because he always had a middle infielder batting second. So Way Before the Flood is a middle infielder.
Dude, that is the deepest cut you could make on this podcast, I think.
No, it's like 3 people are going to understand that joke, and 2 of them are on the show.
I remember when Nick Punto hit second all the time.
Guy hit 220 for his career. Let's have him bat second because he controls the bat.
That's right.
Oh, Ron, I love you and hate you at the same time. Yeah, I called out the line that, if God has called you to be a missionary, don't stoop to be a king. That's powerful stuff to 15-year-olds. Like that is lyrics that are going to make you think, and then the whole line that it kind of goes into the refrain of we're waiting. And yeah, for impatient teenagers, like that's a good, there's just good messages like to be had here. And again, not a worship song, but making statements about his view, in my opinion, I could be wrong, his view on God and his view on the world and his view on what, doing Christian life, which I hate that phrase, but there you go.
I'm sure that's what Jeremy's thinking about.
Let's love on each other. Let's stop saying that, church.
Save it for for the other podcast. Kid.
Yeah,
we got to come back strong after some hiatus over the summer.
Yeah. All right. Third track, we already we already alluded to it. I will call out. Angus Cook is who did the cello, so there's a cello in there. I honestly, I need to re-listen again and try and catch the strings, but it is there, so I'll call that out. And we kind of already made comment about it, but I think this is really, really compelling lyrics. Again, gets very specific and very storytelling. So it's this change from the other two. Good mix. I like the way it mixes it up. But what are your thoughts on Mudhouse?
Yeah, I mean, look, teenage boys dealing with sexual temptation will be, is a story as old as time, and it will never change. And again, we're being told this as teenagers in the 90s that, you should wait. And the song is really making the statement about why you should wait. And it's not necessarily the theological implication of waiting to have sex before marriage or after marriage, I suppose. It's, what's maybe the social consequence of something like that. And I think the theme that comes to mind is shame, right?
Yeah.
So in the 90s and even today, and I don't think it's a 90s thing, young men and women too, but specifically for me as a young man, you feel a lot of shame about these subjects, this subject in particular. And it's kind of this operating ethos in a lot of young kids' life, just because, you're made to feel shamed for things like that. Well, I think there's a little bit of a redemption arc in this song that's pretty powerful, especially when you juxtapose some of the lyrics. We'll be frank up top. This is a little graphic, but it starts off with gazes down between shivering legs, and then at the end of the song, it's gazing up between shivering hands.
Yeah,
and that is that perfectly encapsulates. Excuse me. The way that Jeremy's going to write his lyrics. It's just a really nice juxtaposition of the journey that this character in the song has gone through. And it is really dealing with what is it like to feel shame for decisions that have been made, that sort of thing.
Yeah. The line, Jesus Christ, do I get another chance? I promise I will not fail again.
Yes.
I will not fall in again. Or not fail in again. That's what the lyrics on. I just looked them up. But that's a really I want to say I promise you I will fail again. Right. But it's an interesting. Again, these are hard hitting. That's a crappy phrase, but they're intense lyrics, and it's not something you were going to hear on Michael W. Smith's album.
No.
They weren't going to go into that. So whether I agree with it 100% to this day or not or whatever, irrelevant to me. What I like about it is that put yourself in 1995, Caleb and Scott. These are intense lyrics that I love. I love the idea that it's at least making us think about these things. And the honesty that's there is compelling.
Well, and that's how we were reacting too, is if we messed up, not just, sexually or whatever, any sin that we committed, it was just give me another chance. I won't do this again. Looking back on it, that was kind of, that attitude was never brought back down to earth about you are going to mess up for the rest of your life kind of thing. But that was really what we were trying to do.
Yeah.
That's weird. That's how we were trying to live our lives. And that's a lot of pressure to try and live perfectly that way. But we were really trying to do it, to give it our best shot. But yeah, so that this song kind of speaks to that aspect of, what someone might desire, the shame that goes along with it, and then whatever redemption arc, someone might go through to overcome it.
Yeah, just musically, from a musical perspective, I know we were talking a lot about the lyrics. I love the little breakdown. That's about the 2:30 mark. It's kind of about halfway through the song, and then it just finishes really, really well musically. I think it's a really compelling song that finishes really well. It's kind of one of these, you start to get little glimpses of the musical stuff that they're bringing, and this is one of those first ones where you get a little of that jam band that I'm making mention of.
There's a little call and response in there too, you know, between him and Brad and that sort of thing, and I just. It's very solid musically. If it was just saying a message and the music was bad, I'd be like, whatever, skip. But no, the music, the song unto itself is really good, and I can distinctly remember when playing this album when I was younger, 15, 16, and that song would come up, and you kind of get this feeling inside of you, I'm going to be hit hard by the lyrics, and also it's a really good tune and that I enjoy musically, and you get both, kind of double whammy in that regard.
Let's talk about we're sticking to our pattern. What are your thoughts on cleverness?
So quickly on this tune, the lyrics are, how cleverly you defend yourself, and something about, always wanting what's good for you, that sort of thing. It gave me this, and then again back to that Ryan's Driveway reference where they're kind of arguing, are they arguing theology? Like, again, a peek into our little 15-year-old brains where we're being trained to kind of argue theologically with non-Christian friends. And I feel like he's trying to make some similar statements about, like, you can argue and you can sound persuasive and you can argue well, but it doesn't mean anything because you're just kind of being clever. You don't really believe what you say. So I think there was a lot of the lyricism in this that was effective on the way that I was, trying to go about, talking to people about things that they may not believe that I do. And it gave me kind of a little bit of a spine and a backbone to try and, maybe not back down from a debate or conversation. Does that make any sense?
None whatsoever. No. No, yeah. No, I think it makes sense. Yeah, I absolutely. The only addition I would make to this song is, what's interesting to me is that this is the song that they included on the Take Time to Listen Volume 2. So again, we talked about Black Eyed Sceva being like a staple of 5 Minute Walk. On the first Take Time to Listen, they have 2 songs from this album. I think it's Justified and Mudhouse. And then on the next one, they've got 2 songs. One is Ryan's Driveway, so I think that's because the EP had come out. And then they have this song as well. From that point on, it's Model Engine songs on 3 and 5. They're not on number 4, which is also interesting that's the one they don't get a... That's the one I was the least familiar with, to be totally honest. I was like looking back over it and I was like, I don't remember if I got this one. I got volume 4 way late, just because I didn't have it right away. But anyway, so it's interesting to me that that's the song that they ended up including, because it's not necessarily like, there's some other more powerful songs potentially for me, but they included that one on volume 2.
I'm looking up the lyrics and it's like these, it's almost like John or our youth pastors asked them to make some statements in here, like lungs that fill with ignorance will exhale disobedience. And it's like, that's kind of the heavy message we were getting back then. And this, we obviously still love this song, and maybe that's not what it was intended for. Maybe I'm reading into this way too much. And I did kind of disagree with a lot of that approach now. But at the end of the day, they weren't singing Bible verses, or anything like that. They were just, he was weaving these themes into his lyrics.
Yeah.
Tomorrow be the day I see his face. God only knows my fate anyway. What's with this? Night is on. Put on a happy face. Put on a happy face.
All right, so then he gets personal again. Adrian James is the 5th track. Kind of closes out side A, I guess. 11 songs, sorry. But this probably song 6 is the end of side A if you were going to put this on vinyl. Although you're not going to put this on vinyl because it's an hour, so you'd have to chop it into 4. Anyway, whole other tangent. But Adrian James, one of my favorites from this, gets very, very specific. What are your thoughts on this song?
I referred to it before. Apologies to whoever who is the son of Adrian James, because clearly that guy's not a good dad. But dude, like, talk about honesty. You know, like this guy, the son is really upset with his father. He's speaking very honestly and from the heart about it. And, there's a lot of songs like that that come out from sons being upset with their fathers, that sort of thing. But to have it in the Christian space was that's unheard of, right? We're supposed to respect our mother and our father. And this really spoke to the idea of how difficult it can be when that is not present for someone.
Yeah.
and there's an antagonistic relationship there. So musically, again, I agree with you. Like, it really weaves in some really big Black Eyed Sceva themes, and it does go for longer than I remember. It really keeps going for a while, and I particularly like the way that it just closes at the end. I think it's a nice little, like you said, a transition song to the second half of the album.
Yeah. And this is one of those ones where I cannot relate to fatherlessness. Like, my dad's always been there. He's a great dad. I don't have any place to really put it. But what's amazing about this song is it makes me feel all these emotions. Like, it makes me feel the hurt of it. It makes me feel the pain, which that's incredible. Like, to compose a song that I don't have any real place to put, but yet I feel it. That's pretty amazing. Because you're right. There's tons of songs about fatherlessness, and this is the best one that I've ever heard. Mm-hmm. So yeah, it's just, I don't know. There's something about the way he puts this together, or they put this together, that is just, I think it's amazing that you can write such a specific song that makes me feel something, even though I can't relate.
It's not even like I'm just angry at you, kind of like, I'm thinking of like Linkin Park, right? There are plenty of songs, and especially on their first album, where it's like, yeah, that guy does not or did not maybe have a good relationship with his dad, or maybe that improved over time, but it wasn't as specific as this. Like, he's able to tell more of a story, set the stage for a story that makes us feel for the character.
Yeah, the yellowing pages of the note that he gets, and that there's like the specificity of it. The other one that always comes to mind is Father of Mine by Everclear, and one just feels a little more like, I'm just mad and like kind of dismissive, where like this has a dismissiveness to it. Like, could you see me as a son? But it just feels like it's coming from a different place, and it's an interesting place to hear about it.
Agreed.
This song also reminds me of Invisible Sun when they cover that. There's something about it. I don't know. There's a number of their songs make me think about other songs, and that's the one that this one kind of makes me think about. So
I did not think of that until you just said it. That's a real good call.
Thanks. That's why I run the show. All right.
Pat your own back, Caleb.
Yeah, I'm taking that out.
Do it.
All right. Let's talk about track 6, Primrose. Bruce Winter, the producer, he provides some background vocals on this, so additional call out. What are your thoughts on song 6?
Going back to some philosophical stuff. Again, I'm kind of looking at the lyrics. I don't fully understand this one as much as the others, but it's probably has some reference to rose-colored glasses and seeing the world from the wrong point of view. But again, it just feels like he's writing these songs out of debate from someone else or with someone else. Like, he's trying to state his theological positions in debate format through song.
Yeah.
Which is an interesting way to kind of figure out what the theological position is.
And you talk about like maybe not fully understanding it, but like there's something even kind of interesting and unique about that. Like, plenty of lyrics, you have an ambiguousness to them, or have like what are they talking about? And so I think there can be power in that, of like just these turn of phrases that relate back to stuff. And like, so yeah, I think I probably couldn't tell you what exactly it's getting at, the real nitty gritty details, but that's okay. And I'm totally okay with that. I don't need every song to have that spelled out. Mm-hmm. And again, does it still make me want to sing along and make me want to think? That's what this does as well on this song. And I really like the thing that stands out to me the most on this one is I think the drumming is really interesting. It's not your standard rock beat. It's got a little more almost jazz feel. Like it's just it's off tempo. It's not off tempo, but it's a unique tempo. And I think that's another thing that is unique about this song.
There's a nice drum fill at the end of the song too, to kind of wrap it all together. Yeah. That's a good call.
All right, so let's talk about Comte's perspective, and it'll be I'll just say, full disclosure, we just looked it up. We looked up who that was.
We also learned that Comte is a cheese.
Yeah, it's also a cheese in France, but he is a French philosopher. We really think, Todd, if you have not listened to this album, you should go listen to Black Eyed Sceva and Model Engine. Right up your alley. We'll see if you listen to this show and you get your shout out. Let me know if you did. But yeah, what are your thoughts on this song? Again, more philosophy on this song. That's kind of, we've had a number of songs like that. Any other thoughts on that? Otherwise, I have something else I want to bring up.
I would say that if Reese Roper understands history in the Christian context in this country to the same degree, it sounds like Jeremy Post understands philosophy and how that interweaves with the Christian life. And he's really making a point, again, from a debate perspective of, he's arguing maybe against Comte's perspective, whatever that might be.
Positivism.
Sure. But what does that mean? Todd, this is where we need you. Come.
Yeah.
Let's call Todd right now.
Where are you, Todd?
Call him right now. But anyway, I understand it completely? No. But it's written in such a way where everyone knows he's not making this up. He's just making a statement about, one philosophical concept coming up against a theological one.
It's possible Jeremy Post is well read. I think that's what we've determined.
Possibly.
It's possible. I just wanted to add about this one. His vocal delivery is really great on this one. There's a point where you almost get like a growl out of him and then a whisper, and then he nails his usual singing. I mean, it's a lot of variety on it. I also love the musical performance on this song in particular is extremely tight, and I just love how it kind of builds and builds and builds. So again, that's from, we're over my head on these lyrics, so I'm just going to talk about the music. Say, I like it. It good.
Yeah, don't think about it too much. Just enjoy it.
No, my head no worky. All right, so let's talk about the last 4 songs here. I want to talk about all 4 of them, and I'm including Nail Holes as 2 songs, technically, because this is where this album gets, I think, amazing. It finishes so strong. So Handshake is track 9. Again, more cello on this one by Agnes Cook. Throwing that out. What are your thoughts? Again, a very unique song. I have a lot to say, but what are your thoughts on Handshake?
Why don't you go first, and then I'll fill in what because I tend to go first, and that's not fair. This is I know I'm your guest, but it's your show.
All right, so my thoughts on this is the lyrics on this one are compelling. They're complicated and complex, and I think they fit with the record. But like, he's talking about shaking the hand of somebody who has AIDS in 1995. Which is a total different ballgame than today, right? And it's an interesting, like, you got to kind of put yourself back in 1995, like, and what was kind of being said. And it's a really, like, interesting idea. There's a comment about, like, sure, he's gay, but he says he didn't get it that way. So, like, he's not, like, trying to get away from the idea of that, like, what I will say it, what Christians were saying about AIDS. AIDS was divine punishment. That was absolutely the stance of a lot of Christians at the time. And so to shake the hand of somebody who had AIDS was a thing. I mean, this is as close as you get to lepers in the last 30 years. I mean, that's absolutely, I think, the way a lot of people looked at AIDS. And he makes the analogy of, like, shaking this person's hand is similar to Paul being bitten by the snake. And, like, yeah, do I agree with that at this point in time? No. But at the time, like, it was looked upon as that. I mean, people were afraid to, I mean, Magic Johnson had to retire from the NBA because people were worried about touching him. Their players were complaining that they'd have to touch him, that they'd have to be next to him. That was absolutely a thing in the early 90s. And so I think it's an incredibly raw and honest song. Yes, probably you've got to look at it in the context of 1995. I think you have to. If you don't, you're going to maybe be upset or bitter. But I think it's just it's a great song. It all works together too. So those are some of my thoughts on this song.
Musically, it gets more acoustic, which is nice.
Yep.
And it's a nice acoustic jam. I would contend that while we were maybe listening to some of these songs and it was reinforcing some of our beliefs and behaviors, like, you must defend against people arguing against Christianity. or where there was the sex before marriage thing. This, on the other hand, I think was a bit of a challenge to the Christian culture, and maybe it still resonates today, or still happens today. Maybe it was a bit of a challenge to that time frame of how we were treating people who were gay. Remember in like the late 80s, Princess Diana was one of the first people to shake the hands of an AIDS patient and a gay person, because that was the cultural panic at the time, which was, you can't touch them. And like leprosy is a perfect analogy. But it wasn't the science, and it wasn't the science right away. Like we knew that, but Christianity wasn't, at least evangelicalism wasn't able to separate that message from the cultural panic of, oh my gosh, we don't want to get this disease. And so to have a very authentic Christian response, which is to, I'm going to shake your hand and I'm going to touch you and I'm going to essentially kind of, be next to you while you're sick. That was frankly pretty radical as a message, right? Yeah. That would be called woke today, to be sure. So,
yikes.
Sorry, but it would have been, right? It would have, back then. That's what they would have called it, because we weren't supposed to be touching these people, and we weren't supposed to be sitting down with those people. We were supposed to just let them rot because that was their punishment.
Yeah, for me, this song has just a personal resonance. My uncle died of AIDS, and so I can't remember the year exactly, but it's right around this time. It might have been right after this, because I think we had just started coming to Five Oaks, so it's right around this time that he passes away from AIDS. So I have a personal connection to it as well, and so yeah, I think it's an incredibly compelling and complicated, complex song is the way I think about it, and I think it's a great one. It kicks off the last 4 tracks, which I think are just amazing. So
the way that he sings, should I be scared? When Paul grabbed the serpents, Paul's life was spared. So shall mine be. If a needle prick brought this disease, take my sincere sympathies. You got it, man. Like the way that he sings those lyrics is so, it drives the message of the song even. It's just not that he's singing them. It's like, it really compels the idea of like, we need to cross this barrier on behalf of these people who are suffering. Yeah. And it was a perfect mix of music and lyrics and the way they were sung. Yeah.
Track 10, Confirmation Day. We're down to the last 3. What are your thoughts on this one?
So, you know what this song reminds me of, just like placement wise and how much I enjoy it, is comparing it to Dichotomy off of The Spark.
Oh,
you have 2 great like closing-ish tracks. We both love So Far From Home. We both love Nail Holes. Obviously, they sound different. I just like the placement wise. Like you get this high energy tune. Yeah, and it's really well done. So that was the first thing I thought of, is like the placement for me is like, this album's ending, but I'm still really gonna take the chance to enjoy it here. But it's pretty much rock and roll. Yeah. And lyrically, I was really touched by the message early on, because, and we talked about it early on in our youth group show. We were told that Lutherans and Catholics and others essentially weren't Christians, and we needed to go proselytize to them because they may not have crossed the line of faith in the same way that we did. That was definitely, and we've confirmed that with multiple people, that was a thing. And it wasn't just our youth group. And all that to say that we were basically being taught that we were worshiping a different God than the Lutherans, or they were worshiping a different God than us. And I don't know, this song just made me rethink what that whole confirmation process was, or consider it differently, because right as I was never confirmed, but that was definitely a theological flagpole that was placed, which is, confirmation doesn't mean anything. And so even if someone's confirmed doesn't mean they're saved. And I'm not here to argue that theologically. I'm just saying that that was the Lutheran tradition. Then I'll shut up here in a second, I swear. Then down the road, I end up marrying this very pretty girl who comes from the Lutheran tradition, and she was confirmed, and she does find value in Confirmation Day. Now, she would later go on to make her own kind of personal dedication in a different way, which we would classify as a crossing the line of faith moment for her. But plenty of the people in her life who like, and her parents, uncles, that sort of thing, aunts, uncles, grandparents, they never did the cross the line of faith thing. They just did the confirmation thing, and then they lived it out. And so it really kind of helped me prepare for maybe some of the life I was going to have later on, which was, heavily influenced by the confirmation tradition. That all being said, it really kind of made me step back and be like, maybe confirmation's not so bad, because it was definitely a message for us back then that it was.
Yeah, I can't believe this is song 10 on this album. I mean, it's so good. How do you put this song this far back? This is another song that I have no personal connection to confirmation. I was raised we went to a Baptist church and then ended up at two kind of non-denominational churches. So Confirmation Day means nothing to me. Yet again, you've drawn me in, and I feel the emotion of this song. Like, I feel like I can connect to it. And again, it's just the ability to do that is just something special. You've made the comment a couple times, like there's it feels like a debate that he's going on. And this song feels like the spiritual predecessor to Ryan's Driveway, where he goes, just who is that God you praise? Like, it just feels like it's just a lead into it. And you say debate, and I feel like he is kind of constantly answering the question of, this is why I believe what I believe. And this feels like another, like, it just, I don't know, it feels straight into it for me. And then I love the line, like, we should all be serving the same God. And like kind of what I don't know exactly what he's maybe getting at there, of like, maybe he still is feeling that tension of people who did confirmation and the way they're serving God, and, kind of this a different opinion and a different view on it. But I think that line works really, really well as a turn of phrase in this song. So yeah, how is this track 10? It's kind of crazy to me.
Musically, it kicks major butt. For sure.
Yeah.
And then obviously thoughtful lyrics. But the bridge is, we should all be serving the same God, shouldn't we? And then it also says, we are not all serving the same God, are we? And so maybe it's him struggling with that, or kind of making a comment on that time frame where, again, Lutheranism, Catholicism was doing something different than we were, that sort of thing. But still, because of the way that the song was set up, it did make me reconsider the way that we were being taught, what those folks were following. So again, heavy theology, and I do really love that comment about being a predecessor to Ryan's Driveway. That's spot on.
All right, we got one track left, but it's two songs. So there's Nail Holes, and then there's the hidden track. Let's talk about Nail Holes first. What are your thoughts on that one?
Great closer. Great albums have great closers, and this is a great closer.
But is it the closer?
Well, all right. But you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Back in the day when we had the CD, some people might have turned it off, and maybe they don't know there's a hidden track. Maybe
fools.
Why did you? No. Speaking of songs that are theologically impactful, just. We would always hear that story in youth group about not being Thomas who doubts and asking for the nail holes. And you're like, and this is perfectly put into a song. That idea is perfectly put into this song. I would contend you should sing this song in church. Like, it could be easily a worship track. Now, churches would never do that because it's not easy. But I just think it's a really powerful song in that regard, just about, are you going to take some of those steps to believe it? It just wraps it all together. And it's not like a total... You could flip these two, maybe. I don't know. Maybe that's an audacious thing to say. Like, you could end with Confirmation Day because it's such a good track. But the tone changes with this, and I think for good reason.
Yeah. I like it as the kind of closing track because I really think the hidden track is the closing track, but I like this as it brings the energy down in the appropriate way. As somebody who really feels connected to Thomas, like I'm a big doubter. I become very comfortable with my doubt, and like it's an interesting song to think through and sing through and sing along with, and I feel like I can. So again, he's managed to do that. Where like I don't know if I think it's okay if you need the nail holes. Like I'm okay with that. Like in some ways, like I just am because I'm okay with people having some doubt, but yet I still feel like I can connect with this and I can still, I can get something out of this. So I like how it brings the energy down from Confirmation Day. It's a nice, smooth transition to the actual closing track that comes up in a little later.
I mean, similar to Mudhouse in the way that the character has this little redemption arc. Like,
yeah,
the lyrics here are like, do I need the nail holes? And then it's like, I don't need them. And that's exactly what we were trying to sing and do when we were in the 90s. So it's funny because we talk about the way that these songs have impacted us theologically, and then we've kind of gone a whole different direction now in our 40s. But we really enjoy these lyrics and these songs just because they're so well done. And they still really do mean something to us.
Yeah, absolutely. So here's the one change I'd make in the album. I'd cut out the little, 3-minute interlude. I'd just put this as the closing track.
It's 12.
I would just have it be track 12. It's such a great song. This is how every album should end, with a 5-minute instrumental interlude. Like this, I would do that. And again, this is the punk rock guy. I'd even do it on punk rock albums. It's great. I love it. The little slide guitar thing that's happening that they introduce, because I don't think it's anywhere else on the album. I love it. I love the way this album ends. I wish, they just nail holes would get done and it would just go track 12 and you just get this. And I get it that it's a different era and this is what a lot of bands did. I don't know if bands did this because, we don't have this thing fully fleshed out. We're not going to try and finish it. So let's just put it out here at the end. But it doesn't feel like an outtake. It feels like a great song and a great way to close out the album.
No, it doesn't feel like something they threw together and like, I'll throw it on the end.
Yeah.
End of the song. So you may not remember this, but this song is very personal to me.
Yeah.
Very personal.
I do remember this, just so we're clear.
Good. You're a good friend. But first and foremost, let me take you, the listener, back to 1995 when you could not just easily go to whatever nice. Go to whatever point in the song you wanted to.
Oh, yeah.
And choose any song. You had to either just wait in the silence for this to begin, or you had to push a little fast forward button and hope you stopped fast forwarding.
Didn't overshoot it, yeah.
It didn't overshoot it. Otherwise, you'd have to rewind, and then you might go too far back, and then you're impatient. You might fast forward again, blah, blah, blah. So, the first time you hear this, and it's a hidden track, you're like, what is this? This song rules. But yeah, it's important. It's important to me. We named our son Simon in part due to this song. That's part of the reason I wanted to do it. There are other reasons for that, but to have the song sung about Simon of Cyrene, who obviously picks up Jesus' cross, has a tremendous theological implications, and so this is something that has always stuck with me. Obviously. To name my son that. So I will never obviously forget that song for that reason. But yeah, towards the end, they start to shred. They just really start to come together. They come together as a band to finish the whole thing out. But dude, okay, I'll give it to you. It's the closing track. It kicks butt. And it should just be the closing track unto itself. But I think actually, Caleb, for real, because that was a hidden track, the lyrics were not in the lyric book, right?
I think so.
And I am 99% certain I wrote to the band or to the record label and I was like, can someone send me the lyrics? And someone sent them to me.
Yeah, I remember
on a little piece of paper. You remember that? Remember me getting this little, cutout piece of paper? Someone had typed it out on a typewriter.
or a printer. We had computers in the 90s.
A printing press.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
So, that memory came back right away to me because I didn't know the lyrics and I wanted to know them.
Yeah.
I'll be scared. Paul grabbed the serpent, Paul's life was spared. So shall mine be. The new grip brought this disease. Take my sincerest sympathies. You got the man. Here's my hand. Here's my hand.
Somebody has never checked this album out, and I think that's a possibility.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Besides just the note of, hey, go back and listen to the last hour and a half,
Right.
What are you going to tell somebody to go check out this album?
I think if you want to understand why there is Christian rock and roll, particularly 90s Christian rock and roll that is good and still holds up, this has got to be at the top of the list of why. It's not. It's before all the record labels had these agendas. You just get people who are probably Christians in bands just all starting to get to know each other and get hooked up with these record labels that are Christian record labels, that sort of thing. It's a gem, dude. It's a total gem through and through. I felt like it was a diamond in the rough when we found it. Again, not very many people throughout my life I knew, besides you and Bill, of course, and a couple others, had this CD. But the ones who have it, I universally understand that it's a great, great album, start to finish.
Yep. Those who know, they know.
If you know, you know.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I think that's it exactly. This is why that 95 to 2005, maybe even 90 to 2005 is so special. Like, you get just music like this. Like, I asked the question to Jeremy about, like, were people in the band raised listening to Christian music? Because this is such a lived Christian album.
Yeah.
And it's interesting to me that they weren't. So they just were writing songs about their experience and their thoughts and their beliefs. That's it. And it just came out in this. And I think that is the really amazing thing about it. Again, maybe you and I wouldn't totally agree with everything. Maybe there's people who have left the faith. But I think if they had that 90s Christian experience, they're going to be able to relate to this. And I just think there's something really special about albums like this. And I think this is one of those ones where yes, Jeremy talks about a lot of philosophy, but there's also some storytelling. But it's like, it's three amazing musicians and it's lyrics that are compelling, that are interesting to think about, even if you don't end up fully agreeing with everything.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And you're certainly, especially people have not matured necessarily, but their faith has changed over time, particularly with the doubt, or maybe you're walking away. You're going to find stuff in here you're like, ugh, that reminds me of this part of my youth group experience. That's okay. I believe they're well-intentioned dudes, and, maybe they've changed too, maybe not. But at the end of the day, just the combination of their talent, both being able to play their instruments to the way that they do, but also just the way that these lyrics are written and sung, it makes it almost a perfect album. So I'm not surprised it's number 12 for you. Yeah,
and I could see it moving higher if it was just a little more punk rock. If it had that horn section, it would have moved up for me.
If Jeremy Post ever listens, he'd be like, I knew it. This one guy didn't like it. He put it at 12. Could have been 11.
Just you is that God you praise, but life ain't so fine. Going to church and being saved.
Okay, that's it. That's our breakdown of Way Before the Flood by Black Eyed Sceva. Again, released sometime in 1995. I wish I knew the exact date. I don't. But it's celebrating a 30-year anniversary. Scott, where can people find you online?
Well, Caleb, we currently have a podcast that's in a bit of a pause. You and I do a podcast called I Survived Youth Group in the 90s. We put out a good chunk of episodes over the last year and a half before we had to take a pause here because life got in the way. But, I have it in mind now because I'm less busy to get some things on the calendar. So hopefully by end of summer, we'll have some more albums. More episodes out.
We're putting out albums now?
Yeah. This is what I've been doing. I've not been coaching baseball. I've been learning to play the guitar. But
wow.
3 months is all it takes. No, it's we'll get back on it, but it's a good time for anyone out there listening to go back and check out some of our previous episodes. We did do a music series. I think it was October of 2024, so that's kind of a year old now. And the podcast is just kind of a lot of what we talked about here, which is how was your youth, how was your faith, what was it doing for you in the 90s, what did it look like, and more importantly, how have things changed for you? And if they've changed at all, what does it look like? So we've got really great stories that have come out of that. It was some very, very fun interviews, and we plan to have some more here coming up in the future.
Awesome. Well, I knew when I put this one on the spreadsheet that this was one you and I were going to tackle, and never thought anybody else would take this spot. So I don't know if I even put your name in there. It's possible I didn't even let you sign up for it. I think
you didn't let anyone else sign up for it.
I think I put your name in there when I made the spreadsheet. It's possible. So,
but that's how important this album is, dude. Like we knew instantly. Like even those 5-iron shows that you've put out recently. Like I didn't sign up for them because I didn't want to like hog the whole spreadsheet. But and more people I think know 5-iron than they do Black Eyed Sceva. But like. Even more than 5-iron in some regard, like this album is so consequential for us.
Yeah.
And it wasn't even a question of that we were going to do this together.
Yeah. And, the reality is they only have 3 albums. So we may not get to, I don't know how long this show is going to last, but so like we may not get to the other 2. So it was like, oh, I got to talk about this. I mean, that's kind of where like some of the albums I am hoarding, like, nope, I'm pushing this one forward and we're doing it because I got to talk about it. I want that opportunity. So, yeah.
Right.
I'm glad we were able to make this work. I'm glad life has slowed down enough where we were able to find some time while you're traveling for work for us to sit and talk about this album. So
it's usually when we record, so I'm not at home. So
awesome.
Anyway, yes, thank you, Caleb. Thanks. Good to see you. Thank you for bringing me back on.
Yeah. Thanks for joining me, and hope people enjoy it, especially you, Todd. I hope you enjoy it. Thanks for listening to this episode of the Album Anniversary Podcast. I want to say thanks again to Scott. Obviously, great friend. Been hanging out and talking about music for 30 years. Now we just occasionally do it on a podcast. So thanks, Scott. I know when this one, we said it at the end, when this one came up, I had it marked for Scott right away. I knew we wanted to talk about it. So glad he could join us to talk about this album, this important album to us, this amazing album. Go check this album out. Go listen to it on YouTube and then go buy a copy of it and cherish it. And maybe we'll get it on streaming. That'd be fantastic. I know it's way more complicated than that, but the great album. I'm so happy to get to talk about it. So let us know what you thought. What do we get right? What do we get wrong? What are your favorites from this album? I am on all the social media. I'm on Twitter. I'm kind of still on Blue Sky. I'm on Instagram. I'm on YouTube. I'm on Patreon. If you look for the Album Anniversary podcast, that's the best place to find it there. Trying to keep stuff active, do things as much as I can. It's a little hit or miss sometimes, but trying to figure out my cadence on all those social media platforms. But I am there. Please find me and give me a follow. Please subscribe and share the podcast. Leave a rating and review. It's an effective way to spread the word about podcasts. Do that for any podcast you like. If you like another podcast, go leave a comment for them. Leave a rating, leave a review. It helps podcasts, especially for those of us who are not famous. We need those reviews, so go out and do that. If you want to be on the show, feel free to email me at CalebTheSpypodcasts@gmail.com. I think I made reference to it. I've got a spreadsheet. I've already got about 400 possible episodes for next year. I will give you access to the spreadsheet, and you can go find albums that you're interested in talking about. You put your name down there, and then when I get to that in the schedule, again, no promises. I have a number of people who want to talk about albums. I try and find a good mix. I try and find a good mix of albums, but please put your name on there. It helps me know what shows I can get guests for. There's some albums that people don't want to talk about because I'm the only fan of them. So, that happens, but I do have a spreadsheet. If you're interested in being on the show, please send me an email, CalebTheSpypodcasts. There's an S at the end of that at gmail.com. We made mention of it. We do another show. It's called I Survived Youth Group in the 90s. Go check that show out. We're really proud of it. We think it's really interesting. It's not just, reminiscing, but it's kind of exploring that 90s youth group experience and the 2000s and kind of where people are at now today. Thanks so much for listening. I really, really appreciate it. I can't believe I get to do this in my free time. It's super fun, and we will talk to you soon. Welcome to the Album Anniversary Podcast. Today's show is about Way Before the Flood. It was released sometime in 1995 and is celebrating a 30-year anniversary. And then how do you say, is it Comte? Comte's present?
Yep. Comte's perspective. No, we've talked about his the way he puts lyrics together well enough. I always just thought these lyrics were almost some of the best ones on the album, the way he puts it together, but I think I don't want to beat that dead horse.
Yeah. Okay. Anything on Comte's perspective?
I don't know.
I have stuff to talk about his vocals on that one.
Sure. I don't know who Comte is. I've had plenty of time to figure it out, and I just haven't taken the time to do that.
And then I'll ask.
Okay.
Comte cheese.
Interesting.
Comte is a French cheese.
Oh, this is perspective about cheese?
I guess.
This is way more deep than I thought.
No, I found it. We should have had... You know what? I'll say it. Todd would probably like this album.
Yeah, Todd, he would.
Auguste Comte.
We should get Todd to listen to this album and then come back and give us his perspective on it.
Yeah. I know he doesn't listen to the show. So he'll never.
He can listen to one album.
He's got too much other stuff he's doing.
Right.
Let's see. There's a French philosopher, mathematician, and writer who formulated a doctrine of positivism. Oh. He is often regarded as the first philosopher of science in the modern sense of the term. Interesting. I think Jeremy's well read.
I think Jeremy is like if Reese Reese Roper knew a lot about history
Yeah.
and how that kind of weaved into, Christianity in this country. I think that Jeremy Post is like that with philosophy.
Yeah,
I get this feeling like like you said, he's well read and he knows the point that he's making, right? He's not just putting this together and hoping it fits or sticks or hoping that no one double checks his work. But
yeah, interesting.
Yeah.
All right. Let's actually do a transition into this song and talk about it.
Okay.
Because now we have some ammo.
Sure.
So, anything else on that one?
No.
Good talk. All right.
Dude, just a great, sorry, let me back up. Because I have to find the, hold on.
The actual episode will be like 40 minutes of when you cut out all of our random research.
That's all right.
I can understand what you're talking about.
Okay,